Prepare for impact. Impact. Real talk, real people. Keeping it real.
Thank you for joining me on Impact tonight. My name is Mona Lisa Dume, and Impact is a show that is dedicated to people that are making great strides and contributing to their society. We are broadcasting live in Newlands in Harare, so feel free to be part of our conversation on our WhatsApp number 0731 168 So every year, the 5th of October is World Teachers Day, and this has been commemorated since 1994 when it was declared by UNESCO. UNESCO stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, which is basically an organization within the United Nations. Now, this year's theme is valuing teachers, improving their status. Tonight on Impact, we'll be focusing on teachers in Zimbabwe, and as most of us would know, they have been making headlines for the longest time for different reasons, for strikes, for being underpaid, and recently there were reports that a school in Wange failed to open for the third term because there were no teachers at all. So tonight we'll be talking to some of their stakeholders. In studio with me, I have Daisy Zambuko, who is the Public Relations Officer for the Zimbabwe Teachers Association, ZIMTA. Welcome, Daisy.
Thank you.
I also have Maxwell Rafemoyo, who is the Director of Education Coalition of Zimbabwe, ECOZI. Welcome, Maxwell.
Thank you. Good evening, Zimbabwe.
All right, so this year's theme for World Teachers Day is valuing teachers and improving their status. And if one chooses to use the word improving, it would suggest that their status is not as good. So in that light, what are some of the major challenges that teachers in Zimbabwe are facing, apart from salaries, of course? We're going to talk about that separately. But what are some of their challenges they're facing that is making it difficult for them to execute their duties as much as they would want to?
Thank you very much. I'll take that up, Mona Lisa. There are quite a number of challenges that teachers are facing currently. For example, you would know, you've already mentioned that teachers are really underpaid, and this is a great concern for teachers in Zimbabwe. They're not only underpaid, but they're working under very difficult conditions. You'd find that we currently have SDG number 4, which is inclusive, to ensure that we have inclusive and equitable quality education to promote lifelong learning by 2030. We also need, as our theme suggests, to improve their status. Why must we improve their status? They are really, really underpaid and they work under very difficult conditions.
Okay, please tell us some of these difficult conditions you're referring to.
For example, teachers currently are having very big class sizes, which are difficult to manage.
Okay.
They are having poor infrastructure at the schools in which they work and operate. They have to work without proper equipment, learning and teaching tools, infrastructure. They have to work without resources, books, for example. Teacher-pupil ratio is not good. Teacher-book ratio is not good. And these are the things that they have to live with.
And in recent reports, the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Education, Sport, Arts and Culture have actually noted that the average pupil ratio in Zimbabwe is like 1:40. And in rural areas, it sometimes gets to up to 60 students per one teacher. And like you said, obviously, this affects how the student performs. It also affects how the teacher performs. So as ZIMTA, what ratio would you recommend for the teachers to have for one class?
We would want the official ratios to be implemented. We know that around this time last year, government said that they would want the teacher-pupil ratio for the infant class to be 1:25. They would want the junior level to be 1:40. They would want the teacher-pupil ratio in secondary schools to be 1:35. But at the moment, this is not the case. Teachers have to cope with classes as big as 70 pupils. And sometimes they have to have 2 registers for one teacher because maybe one register is not enough to account for every child in the class.
So how best do you think this ratio that you're recommending can be achieved?
Obviously, there is need for the government to have more teachers on the ground so that these ratios can be attainable. We need the government to employ more qualified teachers so that the system can be sustained.
Okay. Speaking of, employing qualified teachers, a few months ago, the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education did say that they want to recruit about 10,000 teachers, which is in addition to the 120 teachers that we have in Zimbabwe. And this statistics actually came from ZIMTA. Is it that there is nothing to cover that gap, to say there are qualified teachers, or that gap is then covered by student teachers?
In urban areas, the situation is better. But as we go deep into the rural areas and into these remote areas, we find a lot of unqualified teachers, unqualified personnel there taking up classes. And this obviously compromises the quality of education that we're giving to our children. Access to quality education is a human right, and it is a right for every child to have access to quality education. And by employing these unqualified teachers in the schools, we are denying poor children or those children in those areas their basic right. And
okay.
It's not.
What when you say unqualified teachers, who are these teachers? Are they the ones that are in training, or those students that just complete their A levels and then they're just looking for employment and they're employed?
Most of these teachers did not even go through teacher training, so they wouldn't even know how to produce good lessons, or they wouldn't know how to go through the good or the recommended teaching methods. And these are the people that we are entrusting our children with.
I just wanted to add on the issue of unqualified teachers. When we talk of an unqualified teacher, we are simply talking of someone who has not done any pedagogy. Regardless of what other qualification they have, they might have a master's degree or whatever. As long as they have no pedagogical skills, as long as they have not gone through the methodology of teaching and learning, then they still remain unqualified. So when we're looking at recruiting more teachers, we are talking of qualified teachers in relation to having gone through either teachers' colleges or having gone through universities, those who have degrees, having gone through a postgraduate diploma in education or something like that. So as long as one does not have a qualification related to pedagogy in education, then they are deemed as unqualified. But I just wanted to add the issues that have been raised by Daisy, the challenges that the teachers are facing. I think major around them are the issues of tools of trade. If you want teachers to be effective, give them the correct tools of trade, adequate for that matter. In this, I refer to issues like textbooks. I refer to issues like teaching and learning materials. Right now, what we have in the schools are the textbooks that were donated by ETF, Education Transition Fund, in 2011, and some of them have outlived their lifespan. So those are some of the issues. And I also wanted to point out the issue of accommodation as one of the challenges. In one of the provinces that we went to in the monitoring, we discovered that some of the teachers are actually sharing rooms, not houses, sharing rooms. And that is very, 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 very dangerous. And lastly, on this aspect, I wanted to talk about the very high teacher-pupil ratio, especially at ECD. If you were to look at the statistics in Matabeleland North and Matabeleland South, the current teacher-pupil ratio at ECD is more than 150. Because there are just a few qualified ECD teachers. So I think issues of equity have to be looked at, especially focusing on the marginalized areas, so that they will be provided with teachers.
So what do you think is causing this shortage of teachers? Because every year teachers' colleges are churning out graduates.
I will tell you that right now, since 2014, the government has not taken on board those teachers that qualified from colleges. They are still there.
Yes.
So in terms of the adequacy of the teachers who can man our schools, they are there.
They're there,
but
yeah.
there has been a freeze to recruit those teachers.
Yes.
So that's where our challenge is.
Okay.
That there should be employment of those that is already trained.
What has been the hold up? Is it the money issue? Because we have a current situation right now in the country. Is it the money issue that they can't pay them?
We don't think it's the money issue because they have money to pay those unqualified teachers that we are referring to. They are being paid. They don't work for nothing. Yet we have thousands and thousands of graduates out there.
Okay, so you
I also think that the Minister of Primary and Secondary Education was waiting for a nod from the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, because their recruitment is guided by the fiscus, is guided by what the Minister of Finance is doing. And when they talked of recruiting more teachers, 10,000 teachers, I think they had gotten a nod from the Minister of Finance. But I think we need to find out what has happened with that recruitment.
Okay, so
But then who is paying the unqualified teachers? Because we have lots of them.
Okay, so I really can't answer for the Minister of Education, but you were saying that instead of just employing random people that purport to be teachers, you were saying let's have actual teachers on board to teach the students.
True.
All right. So let's move on to the next issue that I would want us to talk about. You know, the government has made it very clear that they have banned extra lessons, which usually holiday lessons for the O-level students, A-level students mostly, but other students are actually doing these holiday lessons. You know, what is your take on these holiday lessons? Do you think they are a necessity? Because the government's argument is that students need to rest.
I think we should understand the background behind holiday lessons. What are holiday lessons? And when a curriculum is being set, it is set in mindful of the time that the learner has to be in the school. Which means if the curriculum is being set, it is mindful that the learner will have 60 days in school per term.
Yes.
And maybe a total of 180 days. And the kind of stuff or content that is placed in the curriculum is such a way that it covers, or it is covered within that period. But let's take for example that during the learning time, one of the learners fails to catch up. I think that becomes the role of the teacher to identify the lag that is within the learner, or where the learner is lagging behind, or where the learner needs remedial lessons. So if it is lessons that are being provided by the similar teacher who is teaching the child, to me it makes more sense, because the teacher knows exactly where the child is, and then they can take it up from there. But if it is a learner coming from one school and going to extra lessons to Mr. X or Mrs. X, and then they pick it up from there, we should also understand that there is also economic value in terms of extra lessons by the teachers themselves. And we should then weigh what we want in terms of the economic benefit of the teacher or the academic benefit of the child.
So what are you saying about holiday lessons? It just depends. Not everyone should go for holiday lessons.
I think not everyone should not go for holiday lessons. Why would we take grade 1 to holiday lessons? Why would we take grade 2 to holiday lessons?
No, but holiday lessons are mostly for writing classes. Grade 7s go for holiday lessons.
Which ordinarily I was saying, then the school organizes the vacation, where the teachers then come and know where their syllabus is, where their curriculum is, and they know exactly how they are behind the curriculum, and they can manage from there. But if I just pick a learner from Chamatanda school and then I say I'm taking them for holiday lessons, how do I know the content coverage of the syllabus that has been done by the previous teacher?
Okay, so you're basically saying if I'm going to go for vacation school, I should go to the school that I have been schooling all this time.
That's what precisely.
Okay, but then if you were saying that the teacher has to identify which aspects that they haven't covered during the 3 months, and you rightfully say that the curriculum is set, well, we are assuming that it's set that within 3 months it has to be finished, it has to be completed. So failure to do so, is it that the government has to revise the curriculum for them to fit in, or the teacher has to work harder to make sure that the curriculum
You should understand that. You should understand that as the term progresses, there are a number of issues that happen during the term.
For example,
that will sometimes disrupt learning, which could be other functions that come within. Which could be other disturbance. It's normal for a school not to have a class in a certain day, there's a funeral, there's this, they are going for sports or so. There are so many disturbances that happen. The teacher falls sick and so on. So there are other disturbances that come in so that you'll discover that it's not all the 61 days that are used.
Actually used for
yes, because
learning purposes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the teacher then understands that after the workshop that I went to, I did not do 1, 2, 3. So I will have to cover up, because those are things that do come. For example, teachers are going for the capacitation on the curriculum right now. And they will be losing those lessons, and they know very well where they left, and they are the ones that are well placed to know how to then catch up.
The capacity workshop you're talking about, who organized it?
It's the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education.
So which goes back to the issue that I'm saying, that if this is the same organization or the ministry that is coming up with this curriculum, are you saying that they should make provisions for those days that you're saying there are funerals, there's sports, the teachers are at workshops? Should there be provisions for that? Because they have made it clear that they are not for these holiday lessons. And you're saying that, look, there's certain there are all sorts of variables that make it not possible for them to complete these the curriculum. True. So are you saying that they should revise it to make sure that, to make provisions for all those other aspects that you're bringing in?
I think it's already, it caters for that. Because for any curriculum, there should be space even for revision.
But now if the teachers...
But what I'm saying is, it's not, what we are talking of is the ideal versus the reality. Even if the ministry was to use 40 days, still there would be other disturbances that come around. Precisely, that's what I'm saying. There is bound to be other things that crop around in the running of the school.
So holiday
because school
lessons
is just like any other institution.
So holiday lessons are the way to go.
In the event that the school feels that these learners are lagging behind on certain aspects.
So do you feel the government gets this? Because if they keep saying they're banning it, then obviously you're not communicating well somewhere to articulate these things.
I think the ban comes on any lessons that are not well coordinated. A teacher simply...
But they didn't specify. They just generally said that they're not...
No, it's specified. That's why right now, if you go to those schools, there are learners who go to holiday lessons at their schools, what are called vacation schools.
Vacation schools,
Yes, they did not put a blanket ban, but they are vacation schools. And the school that wants to do a vacation school then informs the district office, and then they carry out the vacation school.
Oh, so they need permission to get the vacation school.
Yes.
Okay, all right then. Okay, there are questions here that are coming through. It says someone is asking that, is Zimbabwe Open University offering a valid diploma in primary education? I'm guessing they have heard they do that.
Unfortunately, we cannot answer for ZOE. I think they would need a spokesperson for ZOE to do that.
All right. Another question that is, please ask Daisy on the issue of the changing curriculum on education. Will it not affect the external candidates?
I think at the moment there is no modus operandi in terms of how it will run. I think the reason why the listener is asking that question is that there is an aspect of continuous assessment which ordinarily is computed when someone is still in school. So the question, I think, stems out of the fact that therefore if someone is out of school, how then is their coursework computed so that it combines with the final mark? But I think there should be a legal instrument that will then rationalize this. But at the moment, there is nothing. We are still waiting for ZIMSEC to come up with a position and a legal instrument that will show how this will come into place.
All right, so I hope they are answered. You tuned into Impact. My name is Mona Lisa Dube, and tonight we're discussing the situation of Zimbabwean teachers in light of the Zimbabwe Teachers World Teachers Day that is coming up on the 5th of October. We'll take a short break, and after this, we're also going to answer more of your questions and get into other issues affecting teachers. Stay tuned.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
It's all about the big hits.
Let's go.
It's all about the anthems.
She's up all night to the sun. I'm up all night to get some.
It's all about the timeless classics. It's all about the music.
Z.
1, 2, 3, let's go. Let's go. We're One Direction.
Hello, this is Maroon 5.
Hey, it's Katy Perry. This is your girl Rihanna.
Hey, we're Imagine
Imagine Dragons.
Let's go!
Hey, I'm Taylor Swift.
Hey, this is Ed Sheeran. I'm Calvin Harris.
All the hits.
We gon' make you feel good.
So good. So good. Music that makes you feel good. All day, every day.
Z. Right. And where were we? Let's talk.
Welcome back to Impact. My name is Mona Lisa Dube, and tonight we are talking about the current situation with the teachers and the education system. Now, we've been talking a lot about quality education, and there are several questions that have come through here. People are asking, when you say quality education, what really do you mean?
Okay, quality education is the type of education that enables people to develop all of their attributes and skills to achieve their potential as human beings and members of the society. And when we're talking about quality education, there are three pillars that we should be looking at. Firstly, there is quality teaching and quality teachers. We should also look at quality learning and teaching tools. We should also look at the quality teaching and learning environment. Let me start by explaining what I mean by quality teachers and teaching. We've been talking about having good pass rates, having good students that will be able to serve the society better because of schooling. Now, for us to be able to achieve that, we need to have qualified teachers in place. Qualified teachers are the most important determinant for quality education. We then talked about teaching, quality teaching and learning tools. These are the tools that enable quality learning to take place. For example, schools today need to have ICTs, need to have modern learning and teaching methods for children to be up to standard. We also need quality teaching and learning environment. We need environments that are inclusive and that enable all children from all angles of life to come through and have or maybe access the same quality education, whether they're disabled, whether they're coming from poor backgrounds, or whether they are shy people, whatever they come, wherever or whatever they're coming from, they should be able to access this good education.
Okay. So earlier on, we were talking about you clarified on the stance on the ban of vacation schools, and then there's another question that has come through about the ban of Form 1 entrance tests. What is your take on that?
I think the ban on Form 1 entrance test was premised on the idea of trying to assist parents not to be fleeced by schools in terms of the entrance fees and administrative fees, where parents were forced to pay certain amounts, certain deposits, and you would find that a school needs 100 Form 1 pupils. They would invite 1,000 of them, and out of 1,000, each paying a deposit fee of $100, and then they would make a killing out of that. And then the ministry said, no, parents are being fleeced. Let us remove that, and that was the basis of the removal of the Form 1 entrance test. And then the ministry went on to say there is grade 7 results, which then defeats the purpose of having a grade 7 exam if it is to be used as entry into Form 1. Why not use the grade 7 exam? Where else would it be used if we are not using it as entry into Form 1? Yes. So I think that was the basis of the ban. But there are other issues that come along then on how then to manage the use of the grade 7 results as the entry into Form 1, because you get to a school, it is recruiting, there are 100 pupils with 4 units, and you may fail to get the place. But I think the issue was around the economic abuse that was being done by the schools in terms of bringing parents to these entrance tests.
Okay, so your institution is for this ban. Basically, you're saying you're supporting this ban, and it makes sense. It makes educational sense.
Yes, it does make sense. And what the ministry then should do, together with provincial offices, district offices, find a way to amicably ensure that all the learners are well placed in various schools.
Okay, so rounding up, because we really have to round up now. Going back to the theme, valuing teachers and improving their status, how best can we achieve this?
Well, we need to make sure that as a way of valuing teachers, we need to pay teachers good salaries. We need to make sure that they work under good conditions. We need to provide continuous training for them and professional development for them. And we need to incentivize those qualified teachers when they go to these rural schools.
What sort of incentives are
Give
you
them
looking at?
better pay, give them good accommodation, give them the tools that they need for the
Can you
trade.
put figures to this? When you say better pay, how much is better pay?
Better pay would be good pay that is...
I think let's use economics here. Let's use the poverty datum line. Anyone getting something above the poverty datum line.
That's good payment.
Yes, that's good. But as long as someone is getting something below the poverty datum line, then there is a challenge.
All right.
Something that's suitable for a professional, because these teachers are professionals and we want them to live like professionals.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to my guest, Daisy Zambuko, who is the Public Relations Officer for the Zimbabwe Teachers Association, and Maxwell Rafemoyo, the Director for Education Coalition of Zimbabwe. They were here on Impact, commemorating World Teachers Day, which is on the 5th of October this year and every other year. My name is Mona Lisa Dube, and you were tuned into Impact. Stay tuned for the news.